If this were anyone's story but my own, I wouldn't believe I could survive. But spoiler alert, I'm very much alive. Some people have a superpower. I had a super weakness, avoiding confrontation at all costs. However, this all changed during my trip to India in December of 2017. Prior to my trip, I received a package that my mother told me I would have to deliver to my uncle in India. Not knowing what it was, I placed it into my luggage. Then, on December 14th, 2017, my father dropped me off at the airport. And as I stood standing in the security line, I could feel the tears brimming at the surface of my eyes, as the fear of not seeing my parents for the next 3 weeks took over. I took a couple of deep breaths and calmed myself down. I then boarded the plane and flew to Hong Kong, where my connecting flight to India awaited. When I arrived, I proceeded to the gate, and as I sat there, scrolling through Instagram, I overheard on the PA system, "Can Mr. Mayur please come to the gate desk?" I began to get so excited. I thought I might receive a seat upgrade. Maybe I can actually get one of those warm little fancy towels you get in first class. Little did I know that what awaited me was not what I had hoped for. When I arrived, the gate agent told me to sit by the desk, as they needed me to come with them to check my luggage. 5 minutes later, I'm walking down the jet bridge, onto the tarmac, and into a bus, which had about 5 men and my luggage inside. They sat me down and interviewed me, asking questions like, "Who are you? Where are you from? What's the purpose of your trip? And was your luggage with you the entire time?" They then pulled out the package and opened it. They pulled out a stick and flicked it so that it extended to its full length. Everyone on the bus went silent and their eyes bulged. They asked me what this was, and I replied that I thought it was a harmless hiking stick. They, on the other hand, informed me that it was actually a baton, which was considered a weapon and illegal to carry through Hong Kong. They then told me I would have to miss my flight and that they had to put me under arrest. Right? As you can imagine, my 16-year-old self was in a state of shock. It wasn't just like I can pull out my pocket schedule, flip through the pages saying, today doesn't really work for me. Can we take a rain check? Instead, my body went numb, and I just nodded my head. They then took me to another bus, where I was taken to immigration, transported through customs, and then put onto another bus, which headed to a police station located a couple of miles outside of the airport. During my lovely 3-hour internment at the police station, I was interrogated and put into a cell with 4 other men. During this time, I actually started to bond with another kid my age, as I had to comfort him about confronting his parents about being arrested. And to my surprise, I actually started bonding with him, which led me to think, oh my God, I'm bonding with my cellmate. What is happening? I started to laugh until one of the guards told me to shut up. Finally, at 2 a.m., I was released with all my luggage at an isolated bus stand. At this point, I was surprisingly calm. However, exhausted, I managed to find my way to the airport hotel my parents had booked for me during my time in the cell. Despite my laughter, the only way I managed to survive this whole ordeal was by staying numb, attempting to keep my emotions in check. The next day, I caught a flight to Bangkok, Thailand, as the previous airline was booked. Now, my father warned me that the flight was normally delayed, but that I should make my connection time of 55 minutes. As you can guess, knowing my luck, I missed the connection. The plane ended up being an hour delayed, and I missed my connection to India. This was the straw that broke my tired, travel-weary, and sore back. I was alone, halfway between my families, dirty, and tired. I don't think I've ever felt more isolated in my entire life. I ran into a corner of the airport with only the cold concrete walls as a meager substitute for the warm hug I craved from my parents. I eventually composed myself. The help desk is where you go to get help when things go wrong, right? Wrong again. When I arrived, I gave the employee my father who was on the phone, since I was not fluent in airport lingo. To my surprise, she refused to speak with him, as she had some grievance with him. I begged her to speak to him in order to help me, a minor, and she simply refused. And that's when the numbness wore off. Instead, I discovered a superpower I didn't know I possessed. I looked that woman straight in the eye and did not back down, despite my fear to confront her in public, until I was on a plane to my final destination. And I let her know, loudly, how frustrated I was with her. By the end of the screaming match, I was literally shaking. Although somewhat enraged, most of my excitement came from the disbelief of what I just did. If someone would have asked me prior to this trip what I would have done, I probably would have responded with, I would find somewhere to sit down and wait until someone nicer came along. 6 hours later, I touched down in India, minus the walking stick. And as I looked outside of the window onto the tarmac, I can honestly tell you, as a swimmer and a water polo player, that I have never, ever been more excited to see land in my life. This experience has taught me so much about myself that I didn't think I possessed. I believe in order to discover our strengths, we must put ourselves in situations that push us beyond what we think is possible. Granted, getting arrested in a foreign country for smuggling an illegal weapon is a little overboard. But I've always wanted to go out with a bang anyways. It's also shown me that I do have that hard edge and that I can use it when necessary, and that when push comes to shove, I can deal with whatever is thrown at me. It's also boosted my self-confidence and has shown me that I am much more than I thought I was capable of. I am still as kind and as thoughtful as I ever was, but I am not afraid of conflict, and my threshold for discomfort is much higher. And it only took 48 hours of dealing with some cranky airport staff, some policemen, and a baton for me to realize that. Thank you.